Check, check, check. Cool. So we're back. And alright. So having pushed up against the wall, the limits of my understanding, it's time for some abundant humility. Alright, so yeah, that is multi-methods in a nutshell. So let's see if we can apply this to the Wizards and Warriors exercise. So as a reminder, here's the instructions. In this exercise, you're playing a role-playing game named Wizards and Warriors, which allows you to play as either a wizard or a warrior. There are different rules for warriors and wizards to determine how much damage points they deal. For a warrior, these are the rules. Blah, 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 blah. For a wizard, blah, 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 blah. In general, characters are never vulnerable. However, wizards are vulnerable if they haven't prepared a spell. Okay. Wizards have to prepare a spell, or else they're vulnerable. So first we just have to describe a character based on its type. Okay, so this is starting to make sense. Alright, I think I have the answer key here somewhere. Yes. Alright. So to get this first task working, actually, I'm not even going to worry about it. This example here tells us the expected behavior. So we would create a new warrior, and it just has a toString method where it describes itself. So it would have like this. Now here, I'll put it below all this shit. So the actual where creature is represented as a map, but how do we want to do it for the wizard? Or so yeah, it will be called, I guess it would just be called toString, or well, let's call it something like describe, because that's what I'd want to call it. Now you did say that naming things is one of the hard problems in computer science, and it's supposed to be a joke, but it's not funny because it actually is hard. So we would describe. Now, what else do we need to represent for a character? Here, a warrior is, well, let's see what a warrior is. Class warrior, character, that has damage points. You know what, let me paste in the solution so that we can see the whole deal. Alright, so, boop-a-doop-a-doop. Actually, I shouldn't, I didn't even need to do that, but whatever. So yeah, a warrior, I guess that means inherits from character. Is that what that colon means? Let's see. Maybe we can read some docs, I guess. Modify the constructors of the wizard and warrior classes to pass their character type to the base class's constructor. Well, I'm just gonna assume that that's what this means. That warrior inherits from character, which was previously defined here. So this is the abstract base class. It has damage points, and it has toString. I guess maybe we'll just, to make it analogous to the other one, we'll actually have a multi-method called toString, which will take, alright, yeah, let's make it a map, okay? Yeah, it'll be a map. When in doubt, use a map. So it would be like, it will dispatch on, let's say it just has, it takes a character, which will represent as a map, and it will look up some key in the character map. Now we will need to have this come after an exercise in hash maps, which is the International Calling Connoisseur exercise, which we have started. Okay, so it will look up. We'll have a key in the character map, which will be the type, I guess. So, which will be whether it's a wizard or a warrior. And so then, yeah, we would do something like this, where we define the two-string method for a warrior, which will take a character. And all right, we're coming in for a landing here. All right, it will return a string saying, all right, that character is a warrior. So yeah, we can actually just, we don't have to do anything fancy, just return that. And so then we would say two-string, then we have a map of our character, and if the type, wait a minute, yeah, type is warrior. Character is a warrior. Woohoo! So what's next? We have, so let's look at the unit tests for this. Let's see, this, I have to close some tabs here. Oh boy.
Gentlemen.
Okay, we're done with that. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so there's 2 unit tests that we want. So, let's actually start building out the test suite. Okay, so yeah, I will just copy these 2 assertions into our Wizards and Warriors test. And so I'll say NS Wizards and Warriors test. Now, what other shit do we want for the test suite? I'll look at another exercises test suite, and it will be this shit. We refer the def test and the is macro, and we will probably also want the testing macro. And we will also require Wizards and Warriors. So let's see, we'll refer the actual functions in the Wizards and Warriors namespace, which will be 2-string, I guess. Yeah, okay. Refer 2-string. All right, so now that's evaluated. Now we'll have def test, 2-string test, and yeah, we'll call it, well, we'll say testing describe wizard. Let's see, we might not need testing. We can just put a string in there. Testing describe wizard, okay. And then testing describe warrior. So we'll say, and we'll assert that 2-string like we did over here. And that will be equal to what the output is supposed to be, which is character is, well, we actually haven't tested it with wizard yet. Ah, yeah, because we haven't created the method for a wizard. And we want it capitalized like that. Let's see how it is in this one. Yeah, they have it capitalized. So we'll do it that way too. And oh, I didn't call it yet. There we go. That's our expected output. Did that actually? No, there we go. All right. So now we can actually run this, run tests. All right, now, oh, it's failing. Oh, yeah, because its type is wizard is what we are testing. There, now we have 1 passing assertion. And then we'll have another one, which will be like the same thing except warrior. Cool, now there's 2 passing assertions. What's next? So the second task is to make the characters not vulnerable by default. So the character will not be vulnerable by default. So if we call vulnerable on the warrior, the warrior has a vulnerable method. So this is the base character class, which just has a public virtual method that returns a boolean called vulnerable. Okay, so we had a default method where we can add a default behavior. Okay, I'm going to search for default. I know I saw it somewhere. All right. You can also define a default method by specifying default as the dispatch value. So that would be like this. So this would be another multi-method called vulnerable. So we would have def multi vulnerable. So we have a multi-method called vulnerable, which would be like this. So this would take, well, it would, yeah, okay. It will dispatch on the type of character, I guess, just like this. And then we would define the vulnerable method. By default, it will take a character and just output false. So now we need to test this. Are you okay, babe? You're not even adding your test cases to your test block. All right, so the warrior toString method outputs character is a warrior. And this one, similarly, character is a wizard. Now this is actually kind of annoying because I'm just doing everything twice. And we have 2 green check marks. We could just finish all of these and then convert them to tests. There actually, I think there's a way to just have it do that automatically. I don't know. I think RCF can do that. But I don't know. I'm just happy that we're getting this done. Wow. All right, so this test block, I'll just put up here to get it out of the way. I don't know. Actually, I'm thinking of just getting rid of RCF for now and just doing this the normal way. Yeah. So as much as I like, yeah, we'll just get rid of this. I want to simplify these things. And yeah, we can get rid of this shit too, because that's not even part of this thing anymore. Cool. So I already evaluated those, and we could call vulnerable on, say, a type warrior, and it outputs false by default. Yeah, we'll go over here. All right. So yeah, now when we're doing this, we can come up with a way to test task 3, and then we can figure out how to do that in C# and submit a pull request, which will close the issue that we made in today's earlier stream. That will be accomplishing a lot because we'll be learning C# and contributing to the exorcism track. So, but first we have task 2, where we want to assert that warrior vulnerable is false, which is what we just did. Cool. So we will make another test, def test, and what did they call it? Warrior, vulnerable test, we'll call it. And we need to require vulnerable up here. And we'll be testing what? That warrior is not vulnerable. And we will assert that the result of calling this is false. Now, yeah, we don't have to say is false. We can just say false, false, and we run the tests, And now we have 3 passing assertions. All right. Now task 3. We'll go back here. We allow the wizards to prepare a spell. Implement the wizard prepare spell method to allow a wizard to prepare a spell in advance. So when we make this unit test, then we will add it to the C# test. And we should know enough by now to be able to figure it out. So, a prepare spell method. And yeah, we need to fix this as well, so that in these instructions it will tell us what the return value is supposed to be. So we'll need a multi-method called prepare spell. Oh, that's interesting. It just completed all that for me. So it says I need a name and a dispatch function. So the name is prepare spell. And it will dispatch, like the other ones, on the character, right? You can already see how much nicer this is in Clojure. This should be cool. Yeah, now I can monitor that while we work on the Clojure port. So wizard is not vulnerable after preparing spell. So how does the prepare spell thing work again? So for a wizard, so we'll say def method, prepare spell. You know, this is not, warriors don't prepare spells, so this doesn't have to be, but yeah, so we're going to have an atom that will keep track of whether the wizard has prepared a spell or not. So this will actually get rid of all of this. So we'll have to have def. What was it called in the other one? Let's go see that again. That will just be in the code. Yeah, it's a global variable. Well, could we have it be a local variable? Then we're into the same issue as before. I think it actually needs to be global. Or not. I don't know. Let's see. And this will, since it's a Boolean, we'll put a question mark on it, and it'll be an atom set to false because initially the wizard has not prepared a spell. Now we will just have a regular function, prepare spell, which won't take any arguments, and it will do something. Allow wizards to prepare a spell. So this just creates a new wizard and calls prepare spell, but okay, so this is our unit test that we wrote. Yeah, so we call prepare spell and then just check whether, yeah, I think we could probably get away with doing this in a local atom, but first let's just figure it out, because we just need to check that the wizard is not vulnerable after preparing the spell by just seeing if the wizard is vulnerable. Ensure that the vulnerable method returns true if the wizard did not prepare a spell. So yeah, this is, otherwise false. Seems like, yeah, this is, I don't know. This seems confusing. But I think Eric would agree that it's confusing. Why is this taking so long? This is like longer than it took before. Maybe I'll refresh the page. It's green. It's green. It's green. It's green, green, green. It's green. It's green. It's green, green, green. All right. Wow. I successfully wrote the unit test. So this is ready for review. And yeah, I'll add another note here. It still seems slightly weird though, because the following task also states that the wizard I'll do italics, should not be vulnerable after preparing a spell. I'm not sure how I'll say it, perhaps, perchance, could be made clearer somehow. Some wow. Yeah, so at the very least, it'll, all right, invite a discussion. Okay, wow. I'm glad I did that. Okay, so vulnerable default. Let's see how is it supposed to behave if in this one. Okay, so in the following one, ensure that the vulnerable method. Yeah, so this is at this point, would the user have even written that? Yes, they would, because that's, yeah, I think they wouldn't have written that yet. Oh boy. So, oh shit. This is confusing. It's like a Rubik's Cube puzzle or something. Because, yeah, they wouldn't have written that yet. Because this is not. Oh, let me think. Yeah, so how. Those instructions aren't going to make sense. Because here is where they write the wizard. What we did before was just the prepare spell thing. So, this is confusing. I'm like smashing my brain. It's like it's squishy, squishing brain juices, like wringing it out like a sponge. It's like, oh. Because yeah, it's task 4. We don't want to use vulnerable in the unit test because at this point, yeah, let me draft this again. Let's see. Let's see. Edit. Colon goes after edit. Okay, where's to mark this as draft? Wait, I just realized that we cannot is one word, call vulnerable, yeah, wizard.vulnerable at this point because the student has not defined that method yet. How else could we test this? And maybe he'll have an idea. Yeah, he's like such a genius. I imagine he will. Oh, and yeah, I'll say spell prepared is a private variable. I bet he'll have an idea. All right, let's go back to the closure version. So yeah, we need to have the wizard vulnerable method, which is just a Boolean, which is just the opposite truth value as the spell prepared variable over here. We need to have, wait, this isn't the right thing. Yeah, prepare spell, and that's just going to reset the atom. That sounds so nuclear. Oh, every time I hit enter expecting it to complete it for me like it should. Okay, let me fix this. So let's see. That should be in settings, and yeah, I'm starting to get hella drowsy. That might actually be kind of funny. Autocomplete. Maybe it's called completion. Enable JS can suggestions. Tab completion is off. So what does there's one that's like maybe it is in the settings JSON file. It's the git enable smart commit. No. Quick suggestions. Okay, so let's see. Now there's snippets prevent accept suggestion on enter. On. What is smart mode? Okay, that will make it so that it'll be far less annoying. Let's see if it works. Awesome. Okay, now I won't mess that up anymore. So we want to reset spell prepared to be true. So we'll define that and evaluate that. So now we can go to our tests, check if the wizard is not vulnerable after preparing spell. So now we're actually just going to check the value of spell prepared. Okay, in the test, we're asserting that this will be false if we call... No, not yet. We need to... yeah, I think we would have like a local binding here where we will... No. Let's just maybe say do, and then we would call prepare spell, which we're going to need here. What? No. Yeah, that will... We are going to have to refer that atom and prepare spell. And we'll call this. And so we'll call prepare spell and then check the value of spell prepared. And that's what should be false. I think that makes sense. And that made an error. Why? Let's see. Oh, yeah, we need to dereference. No. We're casting a Boolean to a function. Yeah. Yeah, we don't call it. We just want to dereference it. And now it's failing. Okay, why? Because it's returning true. Which is what we want. No. We want to call vulnerable. Yeah, since we haven't written vulnerable yet, yeah, so this is the name of the task is to allow wizards to prepare a spell. So we'll just call the test wizard can prepare spell, and we'll test if the return value is true. Now we have 4 passing tests. Cool. So I saved that file. And just to keep this from messing up, we'll make this a comment block. Now I can still evaluate it, but it won't be run if the file is run, which is good practice. All right, so that's done. I'll save that so that that'll work. And cool. So what is next? Next is, yeah, so this is like, the tasks like should be backwards, actually. Yeah. Huh. So, yeah, I'm like, my brain is stuck on, because this is confusing. Because, okay, yeah, so that's fine. The closure track one is fine. The problem is with the C# track. So this would be vulnerable test. So yeah, let's have another multi-method because we have not written one yet for the wizard. So that will take a character and it will return, this needs to go up here. It will just return the opposite value of the dereferenced atom. So not at spell prepared. And yeah, so that will be like this. We will say, and since this is a predicate, it actually, according to the proper convention, it should have a question mark afterwards, which means we actually need to change that everywhere. No, I didn't want to put it here. So here, I'll evaluate the whole thing. Oh, and yeah, that's silly. We're going to say, pass it the type wizard. And it's true that he is vulnerable because we just redefined the atom to false. And so it's as if we just recreated the world and the wizard had not prepared a spell. Yeah, so it's like we need to once the wizard prepares a spell, we can no longer check the other one. So this is okay. I'm going to have to I'm going to change this back to a draft PR because this is just doesn't make sense. So there should be a thing convert to draft. The student has not defined that method yet. Let's see. Moreover, once the wizard has prepared a spell, we can no longer test whether does it refer to the wizard as a he? I don't want to gender the wizard. Actually, is wizard a gendered noun? Wait a minute. There's I will just say they. Whether they are vulnerable by default. I'm stuck in a brain loop. So I can see why you just skipped it, because the exercise is just plain confusing. It's because of that private variable thing. If we just made it public, then we could test it without having written the vulnerable function yet. So yeah, how do we access? We can't. That's what private means, is that it can only be accessed within this class. Let's see. I'll say here, perhaps we could make... That is exactly what I wanted. Thank you, autocomplete. Make this public. And, okay. Let's see. Yeah, that's fine. And, yeah, I guess I'll mark it ready for review again. Okay, whatever. Oh, so cool. We now have, I'll redefine all the tests and then run them. Yeah, so that's where we're at. We have 4 passing assertions. It would be nice to actually finish this test suite before I go to bed, but I'm running on diphenhydramine. It's not very cognitively supportive. I'm talking even slower than usual. Okay, so let's see. No, not the outro music yet. I've got the Wizards and Warriors NES theme in my head. Okay, so what's next? After we describe the character, allow the wizards to prepare a spell, and we did this, right? No, yeah, that's task 4. Each of these unit tests just has 1 assertion. So that's prepare warrior is not... Okay, we do need to test that the wizard is not vulnerable. Okay, and plus this one has 2 assertions. So, yeah, in the vulnerable test, we can add the other one for the wizard. Wizard is vulnerable by default. And so we're passing to the wizard, and we want to make sure that it is true. But at that... God, let me think. My brain is Swiss cheese. Because we did warrior vulnerable. Huh. Yeah, I'm like... reaching the end of my useful mental skills for the night, I think. And, yeah, you know, I was just thinking that there's always a problem with coding that when you go to sleep, you will not be able to remember what you are doing. But in this case, I have this recording. It'll be kind of painful to but you know, I can I can open it up in my video editor and scrub through it, and that'll be just fine. That's one unexpected bonus, well, kind of an expected bonus, I guess, of always recording myself, streaming myself when I'm working, is everything is documented. It is a coder's fantasy. I mean, I do this because it's the only way that I know how to work. I can't focus unless I'm broadcasting, and because of the nature of the Facebook stream, everything is documented. It's actually genius. So yeah, I can just end this stream and wind my ass down. So, all right. I suppose I will end this here. And it's okay that I'm ending at a weird spot. I'll be able to look at this tomorrow and know where I left off. So, that is what we will do. Ooh. Okay. Well, that was the Itchy Feeties stream. And tomorrow, I guess we'll continue porting this exercise to Clojure. Not sure what else I would do. I guess we still have to go